So this video was gonna come out a few days ago before it was announced that a Star Wars movie was removed from the 2026 release calendar. That was not The Mandalorian and Grogu. It probably was the Rey movie, but that has not been confirmed. Anyway, so Gamerant put out an editorial titled Star Wars, Disney Needs to Introduce Knights of the Old Republic. In it, they talk about how Disney should consider making projects around the Old Republic era because of all the mythos and established lore that it provides for a Star Wars movie. The problem with this idea is Disney Star Wars will never do this, so stop trying to conceive it. In my opinion, this is just a pipe dream. I hope that Disney Star Wars will read this editorial from Gamerant and see that they have a good idea. Gamerant may have a good idea, but that doesn't mean anything when egos are involved. And I want to discuss 3 reasons why Disney will never revisit the Old Republic era for Star Wars. And the first reason is the decanonization of the old expanded universe in 2014. It made headlines within the Star Wars fandom that, oh yeah, all of these Star Wars expanded universe that came pre-Disney buyout, yeah, no, none of that really matters anymore. We're gonna do our own thing. So no more Mara Jade, no more Kyle Katarn, no more Heir to the Empire. However, Thrawn was still in mainline Star Wars canon, but it wasn't Heir to the Empire, since Heir to the Empire was old expanded universe. And along with that, no more Knights of the Old Republic. Knights of the Old Republic falls under that old expanded universe. So they already decanonized it. So why would they ever go back and undo the decanonization of the old expanded universe? Because then you would have headlines come out, if it came out tomorrow, that Disney Star Wars was going to bring back Knights of the Old Republic and is going to reestablish the old lore from the video game Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic and Knights of the Old Republic 2 and all the subsequent novels and comics and blah, 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 blah. Then you would have headlines for, well, since they made an exception for the for Knights of the Old Republic, now they have to go back and bring back Heir to the Empire and Star Wars Dark Empire and a whole host of the Star Wars Jedi Knight series with Kyle Katarn. It's just going to open up a whole can of worms that Disney Lucasfilm probably doesn't want to deal with down the line. The second reason why Disney Star Wars won't do the Old Republic is because they want their own shit to catch on, like the stuff did under George Lucas with the High Republic era. Disney wants the High Republic era to be the next Knights of the Old Republic. The problem is that it's not catching on like it should, because George Lucas is not attached to Star Wars anymore. And if you look at the High Republic era, the largest piece of media to come out for the High Republic era was The Acolyte, and that show got canceled after just 1 season. And I know the High Republic era has books, has comics, but it's not on the same level as KOTOR was, even though Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic was only 2 video games. It was, there was a series of novels, there was a series of comic books, and there was a massive MMO that came out that was Star Wars The Old Republic that came out in 2011. Even Star Wars Republic Commando had a much bigger influence on Star Wars than the High Republic era, even though Star Wars Republic Commando was only 1 video game and a whole host of separate novels, and they made 1 cameo appearance in Star Wars The Clone Wars, and that's it. But still, fans have latched on to Star Wars Republic Commando more than the High Republic era. So why would Disney go back? Again, it goes back to the decanonization, because they want their own shit to latch on. why would they go back and decanonize KOTOR if they have to now recanonize Star Wars Republic Commando, Star Wars The Force Unleashed, so on and so forth. And the third and final reason is the biggest one, and all of these contribute, is that Disney Star Wars would have to admit defeat if they go back and do a KOTOR series. This is the biggest thing. Okay? It goes back to the decanonization of the expanded universe. Now, we can argue that Disney Star Wars has stolen a lot from the old expanded universe. Like, let's be honest. When the trailer came out for Star Wars The Force Awakens, how many people, the first time that they saw Kylo Ren, full frontal, mask included, immediately said, "Ooh, Darth Revan"? I'm gonna take a guess that some of your hands went up. So did mine. That was my first thought the second I saw Kylo Ren, was like, this is just store brand Darth Revan, is all Kylo Ren is. Oh, by the way, Snoke being a clone in Rise of Skywalker? Yeah, that was stolen from Star Wars Dark Empire when Palpatine was cloning himself. And you have the infamous line from Rise of Skywalker of somehow Palpatine returned. Well, how Palpatine returned was that he cloned himself, and that was from Star Wars Dark Empire that released in 1991 and concluded in 1992. It was a comic miniseries. I believe it was 4 or 5 issues. But still, so they've already stolen Darth Revan from KOTOR. They've already stolen Palpatine cloning himself. They've already stolen how the rebels stole the Death Star plans. That was the first mission in the video game Star Wars Jedi Knight. Sorry, not Jedi Knight. No, I'm sorry. It was what was it called? I'm going to stop the recording for just a quick second and then come back, because I know I just made myself look like an idiot. Okay, I had to look through my emulation library. It was Star Wars Dark Forces. Because the second game of that series was Star Wars Dark Forces 2 Jedi Knight, and then they just kept the Jedi Knight name and dropped the Dark Forces name, but still. The entire plot of Rogue One was basically the first mission in Star Wars Dark Forces. I almost forgot the name again. I almost said Jedi Knight and almost made myself look like an idiot for the second time during this video. But still, if Disney were to come out and say, okay, we are going to decanonize the old expanded universe to bring back KOTOR, they would have to admit that their shit never caught on, and would have to admit that some of their own stuff was stolen from the original expanded universe. And I am going to go ahead. I know I've dragged this video out longer than probably needed to go, so I'm going to end off the video with this. If there is one thing that people with egos will never do, is admit defeat. If Disney Lucasfilm announces a KOTOR movie or streaming show tomorrow, they are basically waving the white flag of surrender. It also says a lot about the current state of Star Wars that they have to rely on a mythos that was created back in the early 2000s in order to garner any positive attention at this point. Even if Disney Lucasfilm announced a KOTOR movie or streaming show tomorrow, would the audience even be excited? Look at all of the announced Star Wars projects that never came to fruition. There have now been more canceled shelved Star Wars projects under Disney than what has released under Disney Star Wars. And that has caused the audience to be a lot more cynical about any announcement from them. Why should the audience get excited about a KOTOR movie or streaming show when the odds are that it will get canceled anyway? That is the landscape that Disney Lucasfilm is facing today in 2024 going into 2025 versus back in 2014 going into 2015 when Star Wars The Force Awakens was about to come out.